guys, welcome back to another episode. My name's Imani.
And I'm Tristan.
And we are gamingti. So this week we want to do things a little bit differently. We're going to talk about the sales and so on a little bit less. We spend too much time on it, we think. The links for most of the sales that we've come across and seen, so on, will still be down below. So look out for those there. We're not going to talk about it as much. And this week, we're also going to be talking about the Game Awards, which happened last week, Thursday. Some of the updates that have come to the Oculus Quest. I've tried them out and man, they are kind of cool, I must say personally. And also 5G and the future of it and what it means for, us in general day-to-day life and gaming and tech in general. We'll talk about some of the game sales, for the next coming weeks a little bit, but we're definitely going to be talking about it less and less. So Tristan, what PC sales you got for us there?
We'll talk about this later when we're talking about the Game Awards, but Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Spoiler, it won Game of the Year. It's on sale right now, 35% off for $38.99. We've also got a lot of the same deals from last week. Dark Souls is still on sale, Dark Souls 3 for 79% off, making it $17.85. And we've got this great fighting game. I don't know if you heard of it. That's Tekken.
Tekken. Oh, Tekken.
Have you heard of Tekken?
Oh, I know Michelle Rodriguez loves Tekken.
Yeah, we've got Tekken 7. It's also on sale.
For those of you guys who don't realize that, we'll talk a little bit about why we're calling Tekken. So we'll talk about that when we start talking about the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
We've got like some fighting games. Soul Calibur 6. Yeah, it's $15.84 right now. And Naruto. Like I said, a lot of the games from last week are still on sale. So Naruto Boruto Shinobi Striker, that's $11 right now. Or you could get the deluxe edition for $17.60.
Cool beans.
Like you said, we'll have the full link in the description. So there's a lot more games you could check out here. But that's what I think is worth mentioning right now. Not much going on the PC game deal side. How about you?
Well, we do have a few console games. We still have a lot of the ones that I was talking about last week because it is still the end of the year. So a lot of PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, they have a lot of games sales going on their websites or I guess on their game stores in general. So you could go to the links down below for each respective game store to check some of those out. But some of the notable ones, we actually have Spider-Man, the most recent one that came out, Marvel Spider-Man Game of the Year edition for the PlayStation 4 for $20 at Best Buy. You also have Scribblenauts, the Mega Pack. That's for the PlayStation 4 as well. That's selling for $9.99 at Best Buy. That's normally $40, so check that out. They also have it for the Xbox and the Switch as well. And we also have a pretty big sale for a game that is pretty well anticipated but hasn't come out yet. It is Cyberpunk 2077 on sale on Amazon for consoles only for some reason. So that's just for the Xbox One and just for the PlayStation. And it's going to be coming out in April 16th, 2020. So right now that's selling for about $10 off at $49.94. Again, for some reason they only have it for console. Don't ask me why.
I never recommend you pre-order anything, but I think it's at this point it's kind of safe to say that that's going to be a hit. So maybe take the chance on that one.
Yeah, it's either it's going to be a big hit or it's going to be a big shit.
Yeah,
that was a horrible joke.
But it's CD Projekt Red. They don't miss. All their games are good. So it's the safest thing you could pre-order, I would say.
One of the safer bets.
Yeah.
We also have the Xbox One S 1 terabyte all digital edition. So that means there's no disk drive or anything. That's on sale right now on Amazon for $100 off normal price, which normally sells at $249. It's now at $149. So if you know someone in your life who needs a new Xbox 1 terabyte and they mostly download their games, yeah, for sure, pick this up. And last but not least, for my announcements, Death Stranding on the PlayStation 4, since it is an exclusive, is on sale right now on Amazon for $35. So if you haven't played it yet, I haven't played it yet actually, pick it up now if you're into it. And I heard that we're also getting a port to PC in summer next year.
Yeah, it's just around the corner.
Yeah.
And And Steam has so generously given you the ability to pre-order it. It's at full price, so $60, but you can get Death Stranding for PC. Well, not get it, you can pre-order it for
You can
PC.
pre-order it, yeah.
But never pre-order anything, because pre-ordering is not the wisest thing to do unless you're like a reviewer. Should wait until the product comes out, get some reviews, especially when it comes to PlayStation ports to PC. They can be rough sometimes, so I wouldn't recommend you pre-order, but it is coming to PC.
Cool. All right, so let's jump into some of the topics this week. We had the Game Awards last week on Thursday.
Yeah.
Stayed up, watched that thing right after work from what, 8:30 to like midnight. Some big announcements in there, I guess. We actually finally had the official title name for the Xbox revealed. Yeah, it's just as bad as we thought.
Yeah.
It's actually, I actually think it's worse than what I actually thought they were gonna do better than this. But the new Xbox, the internal name Project Scarlet, it's now been officially announced as the Xbox Series X.
Yeah. The
The
Xbox
Series X.
Series X.
We had the Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X. Like, I mean, Series X? Nothing better?
Hasn't every Xbox technically been a Series X? It's the Xbox.
It's the Xbox. Yeah, I'm telling you, 2030 is just going to be the XX. We're releasing the new X. It's called the X. Done.
I think I could kind of understand why they're doing it, because like we mentioned, was it last week or maybe the week before, that they might be planning two versions of the Xbox next release. So they may be thinking about having a Series X and a Series S, just like they do now, but the Series X would just be the powerful version, the full-fledged version, and the Series S would be more lower down.
Right. Kind of just a lower powered, but, still fairly good as a console speaking, unit.
Yeah, so maybe that's why they went with the X. Because just calling it the Xbox X might be... Actually, that would work. Or just... would that work? The Xbox X and the Xbox S. Oh no, that's horrible. That's horrible.
For all I know, they're probably going to call the companion, the next one, the lower version, the Y, the Series Y. And I'm going to say, why is it named that? But we'll see what they have for us in the future. And for those of you who haven't seen it already, I don't know the full dimensions of this thing, but there is an image of it next to a controller, but it's not in your typical form factor for what you see a console as. Normally a console, you see it as what would you call it? Like a slab? It's
yeah, kind of like it's laid flat. Kind of like, remember DVD players? Anyone? Yeah. But it's made to sit on like a entertainment center, like kind of like a setup box.
Yeah.
But this one is shaped kind of like a desktop.
Yeah, this one is, I'd say it's much more similar to like a compact tower.
Yeah.
And I'm very curious as to how, I would like to see it opened and see what's inside of it, because I want to know how they packed this thing, how they built it on the inside, and how it's spaced out, all the components and everything. Because it looks interesting. It looks like a little tower. That's the best, like a square tower.
Yeah, and it's got the ventilation holes at the top. That's a lot of ventilation and a lot of space, maybe, I'm guessing, because the components are more spaced out. So I'm thinking that's for airflow. So maybe we have really, really good hardware.
And again, with airflow, I'm very curious as to where, is there a vent in the back that is pulling in cool air and then dispersing it out the top? I'm very curious as to how this thing will function.
The most interesting thing about the shape is that it doesn't really look like something that belongs on a TV stand. It looks like something you would put next to a monitor. So maybe they're suggesting that you can do high FPS gaming, maybe?
Who knows? We haven't heard them make any big claims yet as to what numbers will be running on it. During the Game Awards, they did run, I don't know what to call it, like a small demo trailer of Senwa Saga Hellblade 2. The graphics look pretty good. Yeah, it looked good. Like, I don't know what else to say. It looks cool. Yeah. That's literally all I can say.
Because, well, we don't know much, right?
Yeah, we have nothing. We have no real concrete. Like, at the same time, I wasn't there, so it's not like I even got to see it in its full beauty or anything. And from what I remember, they did say it was done in engine.
Yeah, this is all done in engine. Well, the trailer. From what I'm seeing on the trailer, it looks really good. It looks almost as good as current gen PC stuff.
For sure, because I'm seeing some serious reflections in the water. Like honestly, it looks pretty good. That's again the best thing I could say. But we won't know until we actually get this thing in our hands and try it out ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's Senwa Saga Hellblade 2. You'll be able to see the trailer for that down below. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. All right, what else did we hear from the Game Awards?
There were a lot of trailers. Well, there usually are. A lot of like game announcements. I saw a Final Fantasy VII remake. That looked interesting. I was never a Final Fantasy player. Were you?
No, not really. I've liked the Final Fantasy stories and so on. I watched that movie Advent Children, but I've never really been into. I really just liked it because I thought Cloud looked cool.
Well, this Cloud is the protagonist, so it's just a lot of Cloud doing a lot of cool stuff. So
Cloud doing Cloud things.
yeah. There was also Godfall, the new PlayStation 5 game, and the
Yep.
PlayStation 5 was officially announced. It's
It
the
was
first.
announced. It wasn't revealed. Like with the Xbox, we actually had a visual of the Xbox. We still don't know what the PlayStation 5 looks like yet. We have the versions that they sent out developers and developing studios and so on. The basically like a dev test kit, but we don't have an official image of the PS5 yet, unlike the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just based on the trailer that they released for Godfall, first of all, the game looks like it would be good. It looks like it would be a really good release title game, and the graphics as well look really, really good.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that the next generation consoles are going to be a beast. They're going to be real powerful.
In terms of the content of Godfall, the creator or one of the developers has stated it to be a looter slasher, which can be played both solo and co-op. The trailer that they showed was done in engine as well. And again, it looks pretty good. One thing I will say is the style of the game leans definitely more towards the fantasy side of thing. But unlike Senwa Saga Hellblade, where when they were showing the graphics of the landscape and so on, it was very like I could see this being a real landscape somewhere. This is very much like in a fantasy kind of world.
It kind of reminds me of Destiny a bit.
Yeah, I could see that.
It looks like that kind of game, like a looter slasher. I think Destiny, Borderlands style game, but with swords.
It's exactly. As we saw, the character had like a flame sword in the trailer.
Yeah, and they have like these really cool armors. And I think the developer said that part of the looting system would be developing your armor, like making your armor better. So that should be good.
Unfortunately, it is for PS5. I'm gonna get a PS5, but I'm not sure how many of my friends are gonna have it at the time. So it might be one of those things that just gotta play it by myself. And this is being developed by Sony and Epic, by the way.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a League of Legends story, LOL, has come out with their own. They came out with actually 2 games that night for both console and PC. One is The Ruined King and the other is Convergence, is it?
Yeah, Convergence.
I'm not a huge League player myself.
Neither am I.
Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting, and considering it is a story or a spin-off of characters from the League world that a lot of people know and love, I'm sure a lot of people are going to pick this game up and they're going to love it.
Yeah. There was also Gears Tactics. I'm not sure exactly what it's like. Just based on the trailer alone, I was kind of confused. I think a lot of people were confused too. But it looks like Gears of War, but strategy.
Don't they have like a turn-based system that you can have in it?
Yeah, it's a turn-based system for Gears, which I don't know. At first, when I saw the trailer, and well, I wasn't sure what I was. I thought they were just advertising Gears. When they really got into the trailer, and I saw the Gears Tactics, I thought it was a mobile game.
Yeah,
100%. I thought it was. Oh, this is like a mobile version to make some money. But if you see how this goes, I'm not really interested in this. To be honest,
right.
I don't know why you would want this on PC when you could just play Gears or just play
a game that is actually meant for like turn-based. I don't know, it's going to be interesting for sure. I definitely wonder what they were thinking about when they announced this, but we'll see. We also have another game announced called Bravely Default 2. I never played Bravely Default 1. I've never even heard of it actually, but it's coming to the Switch. It was developed by Square Enix. When I first saw the Square Enix logo pop up, I was kind of hyped. I was like, "Oh, we're getting something new. We're getting something else." And then I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it's for the Switch. It looks cool. It's a role playing game coming out 2020. We don't really know much more about it. All we know is it's a new entry into Square Enix's Bravely series.
Yeah, Square Enix tends to release out of the blue. Okay, not bad game, just not something that's not usual for them.
Right.
So they'll release Tomb Raider and then like Bravely. So we'll see how that goes.
I'm sure fans of the series are happy about it in some sense. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
It sounded like one of those games that probably has a huge cult following or something.
Yeah.
Like if you're not into it, you're not into it. But if you are into it, then you're probably really hyped about that trailer.
That's for sure.
What else were on the Game Awards? Well, Sekiro, Shadows Dice Twice, that one game of the year. And I did not pay much attention to that game, which was obviously a mistake on my part because it won Game of the Year. And every article that I'm seeing is saying that it deserves to win it. It was just that good of a game. So I'm thinking maybe I should pick up this sale, 35% off right now.
Yeah, see, it's one of those games too that I didn't get a chance to touch. I didn't know anything about it. I heard when it came out and I knew a lot of people were hyped about it. I just didn't know how big it was.
Yeah.
But like some of the other games that were up for nomination for Game of the Year were Control, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds. So it did beat a fairly strong cast of other games to take the title.
Yeah, it's not like it was a gimme. There were a lot of good games. Like before the Game Awards, I was pretty certain that Stranding was gonna take almost everything. But Death Stranding wasn't even the biggest winner of the night. I would say the indie game Disco Elysium. Literally never heard of it.
Same. They took what, like 4 awards or something like that?
They took a lot. I think they took the fresh faces or something like that.
They took best narrative, they took best independent game, they took best role-playing game, and fresh indie game, like you were saying.
Fresh indie game, yeah.
Yeah, it got to the point where when they won like that last title, like they just got up on stage and they were just like,
they didn't even know
thanks.
What to say.
Like it's like I don't know. This is the 4th time I'm up here. This is the 4th award that I'm holding. And I forgot where they were from, but they spoke English fairly well. They weren't bad at English or anything, but it just got to the point where they just kind of got up there and they're just like, yeah, thank you. You know, that was it.
Like, who else do you have to talk?
Like, that's the thing. It's like I can understand the first time you get up there, you're all hyped. It's like, yeah, okay, nice, great, thank you. You know, I want to thank my mom. I want to thank my dad. I want to thank God. Like, you know, people go up there and do that. And then by the time you do that, you know, 3 times, you're just kind of like,
it's like, can I go back to my seat now?
It's like, yeah, do I have to go like backstage, or can I just walk straight back to my seat? I've been doing this all night.
Can you bring the next one to me?
Oh, but yeah, they definitely took home pretty big. Sekiro also won another award as well as best action/adventure game. So those were the 2 that Sekiro won. It's only 2 that they won, right?
I believe so. I mean, they did win the big one, so yeah.
Yeah, they won Game of the Year, so yeah. They were happy about that for sure.
Actually, a trailer that I really got hyped for because it was so damn good was Ghost of Tsushima, or Tsushima.
Tsushima, yeah. That was one of the more memorable trailers that I saw that night as well.
Yeah, I got really bummed when I saw that was only on PlayStation, but it looks really good. It's like a old school Japanese samurai style game. Ooh, like the weeb in me just like lost it.
He came out. One thing I do want to say is when you are watching the trailer, it's again, this is on the PS4, it's not the PS5, so a lot of the scenes in the trailer are a mix of both cinematic and, you know, actual in-game footage, and you could kind of tell where it switches. Like, don't get me wrong, the game still looks great. I'm very interested in playing it. We'll see how it comes out. It was definitely one of the more memorable. I guess it was also one of the longer trailers of the night as well.
Yeah, I really like the art style, and well, just from the story standpoint, I could see this being a really, really good story, just based on the snippet that we got in the trailer.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, I might never get to play this game, or like, just because
Right.
it's for PS4, and
I mean, unless they do a port to PC.
yeah, well, hopefully they do, but they did say only on PS4. So let's see. I think Sony's still set in their ways of keeping exclusive games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the good things Sony does. When Sony says a game is exclusive, they most of the times keep it pretty exclusive.
Yeah. So I'm thinking this should be compatible with the PS5, right? Because Xbox already made their announcements that the Series X is going to have backwards compatibility with the Xbox One S and Xbox One S games. I don't know if they went as far back as the 360.
Right.
So for Sony to not have backwards compatibility, it might be a problem, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, because the thing is, I know Sony in the past, when it came from the PS3 to PS2, that wasn't backwards compatible, but that was also due to limited things with the drive. You know, you had the Blu-ray drive on the PS3, the PS2 discs were not Blu-ray. So it was kind of one of those things, especially since Blu-ray uses a very specific laser, because the grooves in the CD or whatever are just like much smaller, which is why Blu-rays can hold a lot more data. So it was more of a technical issue. There shouldn't really be at this point a technical issue as to why a game can't be backwards compatible.
Yeah, I mean, it's all digital anyway, right?
Exactly. So it's kind of just like running an emulator in a sense.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely see how that happens. But if it comes out for PS5, yeah, that'll be a good one.
Mm.
You know, one game that I saw that kind of, I don't even know, I really don't know what I saw. I sat there and I was like, what? That's all. I don't even think they announced the name of it. It's just a new game from PlayerUnknown, the same people who made
Oh
Battleground.
yeah. Yeah, I think they
PUBG.
called it Prologue or something.
Oh, they actually gave it a name. When I was
Yeah.
sitting there, I like looked at it and
Yeah, you wouldn't know that was the name. It was a 30-second trailer of nothing. Then I saw Prologue and I was like, oh, is this a like teaser trailer? So they're calling it the Prologue, or is the name of the game Prologue?
I honestly, I was like, when they put up Prologue, I was like, okay, they're showing like, this is the prologue to something. And it was like, no.
The trailer is literally just a forest and someone panning around a camera.
Yeah, like they're looking around in a panic sense, like they just woke up in this forest and they have no idea why they're here. So kind of like me when I saw that trailer.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, I guess they did that for a reason, right? So, I mean, the graphics look
It
cool.
look-
I just,
it's barely an announcement though.
yeah, I have no idea. It's like they were developing it and they're like, damn, we gotta get something for the Game Awards, man. It's like, yeah, we have nothing like properly running. We paid for a 30-second trailer, man. Come on, you gotta put some. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, like the director's there like, what the hell is that? And he was like, I told you, I got you. Like, you didn't, this is what we got, man.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, they're gonna love it. Remember, they loved the Death Stranding teaser, and that was confusing as hell.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, when Death Stranding, those first trailers came out, I sat there and I was just like, what are those things floating? Are those people? Why is there a baby strapped to his chest? What? I was so confused, and I was like, oh, right, it's coming from Kojima, right?
And Kushima Unchained.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Kojima without any, you know, restrictions. It's just like run, and he did that. He ran.
Yeah. I saw The Wolf Among Us got a sequel, which was interesting because I believe the developer no longer exists, to my knowledge. But apparently people love the first one.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
So yeah, this might be a good sequel. I might play this.
Yeah, I know a couple of my friends, they saw the trailer and they were like, oh, wow, there's a sequel coming? Like, and when I heard the people cheering, a lot of people were cheering.
Yeah.
It is a Telltale series, by the way. So it's much more of a story-driven type of game.
Yeah. A lot of games are going that way now.
Yeah. Telltale series are definitely building up their own section. Like, you know, in kind of as a genre, we have The Walking Dead, we have Life is Strange. You know, those type of games have started to become a lot more popular.
Right. And we've got Fast and Furious Crossroads now, right?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Bro, okay, so this was the last announcement of the night.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to preface I'm a huge fan of Fast and Furious. Not maybe like the last 5 movies, but like the first Fast and Furious, the original Fast and Furious, that was one of my favorite movies. Too Fast and Furious was one of my favorite movies. Tokyo Drift was one of my, like, I liked those 3 movies. After that, I started to go downhill. And R.I.P. Paul Walker, one of my favorite actors. But this, I wouldn't touch this if somebody paid me to touch this. The graphics for this day and age, all
They're
I can say is
horrible.
horrendous. Like, this looks like something I would play on the PS2, not even the PS3.
The PS2 might be generous here.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's a mobile game. I was like, okay, this might be like,
Yeah, that was my first reaction. It's like, this is definitely a mobile game.
nah. And
Nah.
so they actually had Michelle Rodriguez, who plays Letty in Fast and Furious, come out. And then, of course, they had to bring out the big man himself. Vin Diesel plays Dominic Toretto. Like, when she came out, I was like, why are you here exactly? And
She was there to talk about playing Tekken.
yo, like, so she was like, oh yeah, while we're on set, we play games and stuff. We would be up like all night playing games, and we'd be playing Tekken. I'm not gonna lie. For the first like 5 seconds, I was like, Tekken, what?
What the hell is that?
And then I was like, wait, Tekken? Like, like the fight? Stop, leave, please. You're embarrassing my community here. Like, I'm not gonna. I just had to
Yeah.
rip her apart a little bit, but it's called Tekken.
They announced Game of the Year, by the way.
Oh man,
So,
that.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna announce Game of the Year, like, at least bring out a gamer.
Yeah,
Right?
that's all I'm saying. Like, bring out an esports professional. Like, bring out somebody. I mean, at least Ninja was there. A lot of people might like, a lot of people might not like Ninja, but he's part of the gaming community. He deserves to be there. There's some people who, though, like, if you're not that big into games, like Ninja had a big year. Let him announce it. Don't bring out somebody who's not. And I know I'm being a little bit tough on her, but yo, come on. You pronounced it like to Ken. Are you writing a letter to Ken?
I've literally never heard it announced that way.
I've never. No. For a second, I'm not gonna like after the 5 seconds, I was kind of like, do I pronounce it wrong? Am I pronouncing
Yeah,
it?
I was thinking, maybe I'm saying it wrong. Maybe I've
Yeah.
been saying it wrong.
And then I was like, no, like no sane person says to Ken. Like, it's Tekken. That's all right. We're done with that. I just had to spend a few minutes on that because that was. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about. We have a new FPS tactical shooter coming, 9 to 5. I mean, it seems very much kind of like a Rainbow Six Siege kind of game. I'm interested in seeing where it goes. I mean, who knows? This might be a game for the esports scene. It might not. There was a little bit of gameplay and, a trailer shown. I thought it was pretty interesting. The developer said, hey, you could go on the website to sign up to be in the beta or the alpha or whatever. Yeah, I went to the website, and obviously a lot of people probably jumped on that because I couldn't get in for any reason. Like, I kept trying and it just would not let me in. But it looks cool. And I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it looks okay. The intro to the trailer is a bit weird because it have like these cartoon bunnies shooting at each other and stuff.
Oh yeah, I thought it was like a Fortnite like bunny sequel, something like that. Like,
I think they were riffing on Fortnite.
they definitely were.
I think they were just saying, "Oh, this shit." It's like, let me show you what a real shooter is supposed to look like.
Yeah, and I remember the guy so basically it's literally like it was just a game in the game, being projected on a screen.
Yeah.
And then the tactical dudes, I don't know what to call him, shoots the screen and then he just looks at it and like shakes his head because he's like, that's not a real game.
This isn't.
This is a real game.
Yeah,
So
basically.
that little bit of salt that was thrown there, I'm interested in that. That was like, okay, you taking shots. You taking pot shots. Okay.
Yeah, tactical team-based shooters. At this point, they're kind of a dying breed. Everything is battle royale, so I'm kind of excited to see what
Yeah,
this will be
exactly.
like.
And I'm kind of excited if we could get into that like a bit early, because I didn't get into Rainbow Six early enough, and now I have the game. I think I paid like $7 for it. Probably opened it twice because anytime I go on, I die. It's like a 4 or 5 year old game now. The people who play are super experienced. If I open it, I'm just dead. I can't compete because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's what happens when you go into a game with like a set player base. You come in new, it's tough. Like
Yeah.
imagine starting a game like Overwatch right now.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know all the nuances and you don't know the characters and what they do,
That's
yeah,
another
it's
thing.
tough.
There's so much characters in Rainbow Six Siege, and they announce characters like a lot, yo.
Yeah, and that's one of my problems. So I also play I play a little bit of Smite, and I was a beta player for Smite, so I have like the beta badge and everything. And when my boy and I we play it, occasionally, but they add gods in like every couple weeks in that game. So what was a fairly small roster when I used to play it back in the beta days, it's been fully released since on all like PlayStation, PC, everything. And I'm playing and I'm just like, who is that? Like, who am I up against? I don't know
You
anything about them. I
don't know
don't
what
know
they
their
do. Yeah.
moveset. And it's very hard to play against a character that you don't know their abilities, because you don't know what they can do. You don't know if, oh, I could run away. And it's like, no, you can't. Knowing the characters and just the game in general is very key to playing a lot of games nowadays. And
Yeah.
if you fall off for a little bit, it becomes very hard to jump back into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you start playing one of these modern games just for a little, like getting back into it is tough because the game doesn't stop updating while you're gone, yo.
Yeah,
And the players they're on that. The players that continually play, they like when you bounce off someone that eats and breathes that game, you're just like, okay, maybe I should just never touch this anymore. Just
exactly. And I mean, for example, I started playing again Overwatch pretty recently again on PC. I have it for both my PlayStation and my Xbox. And on the PlayStation days, me and my roommates back in when I was in university, we had two TVs set up next to each other. We were playing online, we were playing competitive, and it was great. It was super fun. We were watching every single update, so we knew what the meta was, so we knew what the big picks are, the big characters are, their abilities, every little buff or nerf that happens to their abilities. We were on top of things. Stopped playing the game for probably like 2 years or so, and well, I mean, luckily, it's Overwatch is one of those games where they don't add in a bunch of characters very frequently, but there were probably like 3 or 4 new characters in it. And the next thing too is they nerfed and buffed a bunch of abilities.
Yeah,
So when I came in, I'm used to playing, a couple of certain characters, and I'm just like, why am I not being as effective? And it's like, oh, because well, their abilities were nerfed or buffed or whatever, and it's just different. So it's very weird. It takes time to get used to it.
definitely. I mean, speaking of things that takes time to get used to, VR. I heard you got
Ah,
a bit of an update on your quest.
yeah, man.
Like I
So,
saw some videos you posted about the hand tracking.
all right. So, people, this is a big W for VR in general. So, the Quest, as I've spoken about before, it is a VR headset, unlike most others nowadays. It is a full-fledged VR headset with full capability of moving in 3D space. Up, down, left, right, back, forward, without being tied down to a PC. So there's no cables. It is completely wireless, and you have this thing on your head, and it's just the headset. And they recently added hand tracking to it. Now, the way the headset works is it uses what's called lighthouse tracking. So basically, there are 4 cameras at the corners of the headset, one on each corner, and it tracks the space around you as you move in VR, so it knows how to kind of update your environment as you move. And the hand tracking update, although it can only be used on the home interface of the Quest, it's pretty good. I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I picked up the Quest and I honestly thought, all right, this is like one of the steps into VR becoming bigger, more mainstream. I didn't expect for Oculus to be putting as much work as they have been into it, because not only did they come out with this hand tracking update that, you know, is being pushed out to developers, so soon enough is going to be incorporated into some of the games and the titles on the headset itself. They also pushed out Oculus Link, which basically turns your Quest into a PC tethered VR headset. Now, the Quest costs $400. The Rift S costs $400. That is their tethered VR headset. You know, you put it on, it's tethered to your PC like all the time. But now they've released Oculus Link, which allows you to tether your Quest to your PC and use it like you would a Rift. It really kind of makes me wonder, like, are you cannibalizing your own product line? Because it makes almost no sense. There's very little difference in visual quality and so on between the Rift S and Quest. And the main reason I think they did it was because they were forced to. Because what a lot of people who bought the Quest realize that you can do, actually, I shouldn't say a lot. A few people realize there's a way to essentially mirror your PC screen on your Quest and play VR games like that. So there was essentially a way to stream VR games to your headset. So people were already like, "Oh snap! I mean, I could just use my Quest as a VR headset tethered to my computer anyway." And since Oculus found out about that, they were like, "Oh damn it! We just have to release an official version of this, so that way they can still capitalize in it." Because the way it was working before is you were playing Steam games before. Now it's like, I guess we'll release an official version, so you have to buy Oculus games, you know, kind of thing. I'm definitely very impressed with how far the Quest has come in the not even a year that it's been out yet. It's been out for like about 8 months now.
Yeah, that headset kind of came out of nowhere. And that headset kind of almost single handedly, well, not totally single handedly, because I think the Steam Link had a bit of play and VR chat, but it kind of brought a resurgence to VR. It's
Yeah.
just making it more affordable and more accessible to everyone.
And that's one thing I want to talk about too. Like when I first built my PC, I wanted to get an HTC Vive. And then HTC came out with like the Vive Pro. And then they came out with like the wireless pack for the Pro. So, you know, you could have it like wirelessly. And you could have full, you know, 360-degree movement without getting tied up in cables. I didn't have a PC at the time, so I had to build a PC that can run VR games well on the Vive Pro. But the Vive Pro itself costs like $1,500. And that's with the base stations and the tracking. So that means it's still a case of you have to set up external sensors to be able to track you in the space. And on top of that, if I wanted the wireless attachment, that's another $400. So we're talking about, including tax, almost $2,000 just for a headset, you know, just for the VR headset. And then comes along the Quest at 400, 1/5 of the price. Obviously, it doesn't offer as like, you know, high fidelity gaming, you know, VR games and high graphics and so on. But a fifth of the price at $400, you know, that's the same price as a console for entry into VR. That is massive. That was like, honestly, good on Oculus and good on Facebook, because it really couldn't have been done without Facebook. Facebook bought Oculus a while ago, and they're the reason why they were able to get this. It's only a big company that Facebook that can get the price down this low, because their margins have become so small. They're willing to not make a huge profit off of it, but to get it out there and start to make it more mainstream.
Yeah, that and they're most likely looking at other ways to get that money back rather than have the equipment be the main way to make a profit. Like you said, it has the Oculus store, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's probably a major way where they're offsetting some of the cost just to get people buying games from there. So you have a low cost of entry, but then you have something to hook them, bring them back, so you can make up that loss.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also a case too, as VR becomes more mainstream, if they can set themselves as what I would say is essentially the face of VR, they can easily get big part of the community who is coming into VR, you know, dedicated to them. So I think they're definitely trying to get ahead of the curve in terms of that, which is, again, good on them. They have the finances and they have the backing to do it. So yeah, we'll see. Facebook might be determining the future of a lot of VR. One thing I do want to note as well is when you do have the Quest running Oculus Link, so you're essentially running it like an Oculus Rift. I had to set it up, and I actually had to log in through Facebook, which is, I didn't really like that. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Facebook themselves. They're a bit intrusive for me. One thing that I can easily see becoming is, as VR becomes more mainstream, you can have social events in VR. And that is one thing I realized very quickly once they asked me to log in and I started reading through some of the things, because you can essentially create your home. You have, as you buy games and so on, you get like little trinkets from other games and so on, and furniture, and you could furnish your quote unquote home, and you can actually have friends come over, which is an interesting thing, right? You can also visit friends, and you can visit their homes and their setups and all of that. And I can see it becoming a really big socializing place, kind of like how VR chat is now. But again, since it's being backed and run by Facebook, they already have a social platform, you know?
Yeah, they know how to make it, right? As opposed to Steam, that I mean, Steam can does have a social platform as well, but I think if you're a gamer, you know that Steam's social platform is not as good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Our next thing that could really push forward VR is 5G.
big time.
Yeah, just like with the emergence of 5G getting that lower latency, because that's one of the big advantages people are talking about with 5G, just lower latency.
Yeah, so like one thing I do want to say is my router, it has both channels for 2.4 gigahertz and then 5 gigahertz. And the Quest prefers a 5 gigahertz network to be connected to.
5G is gonna be crazy, for VR.
We're getting some insane. The thing about it is 5G is still very much in its infancy. It's not necessarily rolled out fully. Like, yeah, you have 5G routers in your home, but the 5G that we're talking about is nationwide, worldwide network cellular 5G. We're not talking about Wi-Fi 5G. We're talking about how you might have 4G on your phone right now, which has brought incredible speeds compared to 3G, which came before it. 5G is pulling in some ridiculous speeds. But first of all, to give you a breakdown as to how 5G works, the way both, like, cellular networks in general work is there are wavelengths of, radio wavelengths that transmit information, right, from towers that are distributed throughout the world. And that is where your phone sends information to the tower sends information back to your phone. That's how you pull up that web browser, that video, whatever. Now 5G obviously is still working on the same principle, but the wavelength is much shorter, which means that you can also transfer a lot more data. But the thing about it is it does not transmit as far, and it's also not as penetrating as other longer wavelength signals. So the problem right now with 5G is you have to be very close to a tower to get good reception and good speeds.
Not just close. You could be next to a tower, but if there's a wall between you and that tower, you're not gonna get 5G.
Yeah, you're not gonna get the full capabilities.
Not even, actually, not even a wall. I've seen. I don't know if you saw Linus's from Linus Tech Tips,
Yeah.
new video on 5G, but just him turning away and having his body in between his phone and the tower was disconnecting the 5G signal.
Yeah, that's a lot of the times enough to interrupt those wavelengths, those shorter wavelengths, and really disrupt the signal. And like Linus made a video about it, MKBHD also made a couple videos about it. And right now there's actually two types of 5G being rolled out. There's what I would call real 5G, which is an actual 5G node, and then there's 5G it's pseudo 5G. It's much more like a higher version of 4G in a sense, where you can still get some ridiculous speeds, but you don't have to have as many of these nodes and these towers all over the place. But it is kind of crazy where you can turn around from a tower. You can have a few leaves blocking your line of sight from a tower, because it's all about line of sight. You always have to have a direct line of sight with your tower. Your phone has to be in direct line of sight to have a fast connection. But when you do have that direct line of sight, you're talking like almost a gigabyte down. That's some serious speed. Like that's what I get on my fiber connection here, you know?
Insane speeds. The technology is not ready now for it to be nationwide, but like when it gets there, maybe for like maybe 2025, maybe 2028, 2030 about, where 5G becomes really popular, we're gonna have insane speeds. I can't wait, yo.
Yeah, for sure. I think within the next 5-10 years, because right now I know Verizon in America, that is, Verizon and T-Mobile are building a lot of the infrastructure needed. And again, that's a lot of those cell towers. So you're going to start seeing a lot more cell towers. There are a lot of people who are a bit worried with all of this, you know, all of these radio waves and all these signals being around us. You know, some people have said, oh, you know, it causes cancer and so on. And it's like, it's not that bad. UV light from the sun can cause skin cancer. This isn't that bad because we're already surrounded by all of this stuff, whether you know it or not. There are Wi-Fi routers that give off 5G signals. So it's not anything to worry about. At least there's no proven worry to be had yet. And until that comes, then
There was one worry a bit for weather prediction because they use the same wavelength apparently as 5G to predict the weather
oh
or
really?
something like that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and they're saying that the 5G antennas or the 5G signal could disrupt their ability to accurately predict weather, which doesn't sound like much at first, but when you really think about it, that may be a major issue because predicting stuff like hurricanes, tracking tornadoes, that's a big deal. They'll find a way around it.
The reason why I don't think it's as big of a deal as it is because of how short wavelength 5G is. Like if a wall can block 5G, I'm pretty sure it's not going to travel that far.
But the thing is, right, if you have a nationwide network, then it would travel that far because this is a nationwide. We're talking about millimeter wave now, but you look at you were talking about Verizon and T-Mobile with the millimeter wave. Sprint has the mid band or something like that, so it's a larger wave, and that's why T-Mobile was in the process of acquiring Sprint because right now I believe T-Mobile has millimeter. Correct me if I'm wrong.
What do you mean for the 5G?
Yeah, 5G.
I think it's like you were saying mid-band or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So either they have mid-band and Sprint has millimeter, and they want to acquire them just to have just more coverage. And a lot of these companies are going to have more coverage, like when we're talking about 2025, 2028, further along in the future, 5 to 10
Yeah.
years, right? So it's not a problem now, but it could be a problem then.
I mean, it's definitely something to see. I'm not a radio wave scientist, whatever they might be called. But
that's the official name. A
that's the
radio
official
wave,
name.
a radio wave
scientist.
scientist.
We're coming at you with this radio wave science. You know, like I'm not one of those guys. You know, I'm not in a lab doing this stuff. But
neither am I. So I could be talking a bunch of crap, but it's just what I saw in an article.
the reason why I don't think it's going to be a problem, though, is because the way at least I know from my own learning and that radio waves work is they don't necessarily combine. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them can actually interfere with each other. So I don't ever see it being a case of having two cell towers next to each other causes like this dramatic range increase, like as to how far the wave can go. It's probably going to be a case of if tower 1 has a, let's just say, 5-meter radius, and then there's a tower 2 meters away from it that has another 5-meter radius, there's just going to be like interference in between those towers. I don't see it like one tower boosting the signal of a next tower to like push that wave any further. You know what I mean? I still think that it's still going to be a case of if there are two towers next to each other that have a 5-meter radius, it's only going to travel 5 meters. I'm talking about meters like I'm in Britain and 5 feet.
You're talking my language, yo.
So like I don't know. We'll definitely see the future of 5G. I definitely think that there's going to be a lot more positive than negatives, obviously, for 5G in general.
Sorry to
Hmm.
interrupt you here, but just found the article that I was referring to. The official reason is this. Well, just gonna be quoting them verbatim here. The 5G transmissions will allow many frequencies, but the key one under the discussion is the 23.8 gigahertz. So apparently 5G is gonna transmit on this frequency. And water vapor in the atmosphere naturally produces a weak signal at that same frequency, and satellites will measure that frequency. So if the 5G
Uh,
station is transmitting at that frequency, it will affect the satellite's ability to pick it, and it will interpret it as water vapor.
right.
So that's the
So
official.
it's going to be a case of it's going to be very hard to detect precipitation over cities and urban areas in general, because urban areas are going to have a lot more 5G towers to meet customer demand and so on. So it's probably going to be a case of it's very hard to detect precipitation over urban areas, because there's going to be these false signals that are telling the satellites that, hey, there's water vapor here, when it's really not water vapor, it's just 5G. That could be a big deal, but they're gonna find a way around it, man. I'm sure about
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I'm already thinking, like you said, we're not radio wave scientists, but I'm thinking, like, well, if you know how much 5G is in the air, just minus it, right?
You could. Yo, I mean,
Quick maths.
the science isn't wrong. Some quick maths, as Big Shaq would say. Yeah, that's very valid. If you know what the input is of another variable, then you could easily subtract that input. But again, we're not radio wave scientists. We're just speculating. What do you think would be some of the everyday, like day to day benefits, or maybe pitfalls possibly of 5G? Like how do you think 5G, if you got 5G right now and you had the best phone that could handle 5G and use it to its full like potential, and it really was everywhere, how would that change your day to day?
Like right now,
Yeah, right now.
I don't think it would change anything right now, other than just having better internet.
Right.
But I think there should be future technology that could affect this. I see Sprint has when they launched their 5G, they launched this gaming service called Hatch.
Oh.
And basically, what Hatch does is it streams mobile games to your phone. So it's kind of like Google Stadia for mobile
Oh,
devices,
right.
which is kind of just like Google Stadia.
Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently they have a game library of like 100 mobile games, so you don't need to download games. You could just stream games over the cloud. That could be a big thing when it comes to gaming. If you have a 5G connection that's reliable, and they say it's supposed to have lower latency as well, you could maybe get to a point where you don't need an ISP.
Right.
Well, you probably would need an ISP, just because they will put some dumb restriction on how much data you'll be able to use for the month or whatever.
I mean, so I'm currently on T-Mobile. I have 4G unlimited. It's funny. I was looking over my stats the other day for like how much data I use in a month, and you want to guess how much data I use on average a month?
I don't know, like 40, 50 gigs.
Yeah, you're about right. Each month, just mobile data wise, I use about 40 to 50. I think my heaviest month was about 80, and that was in October for some reason. That is insane to me. And the thing is, I could honestly say the amount of times that I've had problems loading something or anything, like when I'm at work, I don't use the work Wi-Fi just because a lot of the times it's just not as good, not as fast, not as reliable as my 4G, just direct connection, my direct data connection. And at the same time, I kind of don't want them to know that I'm like watching a YouTube video. Like, although the thing is, most of the time I just have a YouTube video on in the background and I'm just listening to kind of like I would listen to a podcast, depending on what it is. But I've never really had problems. The main thing I could say actually I've had problems with is like official applications. So like as YouTube and so on, their video streaming capabilities are very good. But I realize if I'm trying to watch, let's say, anime on the Crunchyroll app or just on any website, for some reason, it doesn't load properly. And I don't know if that's a 4G issue. I don't know if it's I just don't know what it is, because I would most times watch most of my videos on YouTube 1080p. So I don't know what the issue is there. I don't know if 5G would solve that. Can I actually watch anime on my lunch break now? You know? But like for me, I think if I got 5G right now, I don't even play mobile games that much. I really don't know if it would change much for me.
Nah. All right. No.
I definitely do think in a couple years or in 5 years or so, when a VR headset with a just a built-in data, connection to 5G networks and so on comes out, that might be kind of clutch. Although at the same time, it's like, if you have a data connection, then why do you need VR? Kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like, are you gonna be walking around with a headset on?
Yeah, basically, because remember, as well as VR, there's AR.
No, AR, I could see that being, excuse me, AR, I can see that being a big thing for sure.
Yeah. So, like you with the Oculus Quest, right? Could just be in the wild with it, or the HoloLens. I
Right.
think a HoloLens on 5G might be worth considering.
You know what
Like right
actually
now.
might be pretty clutch? Again, like kind of like HoloLens, maybe but with like Pokemon Go or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
And like
be.
you wouldn't even need to download the game or anything. You just pull it up instantly, start streaming it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would
bro.
be kind of, you have this overlay now of information that
You could do
is.
Jarvis, yo.
Yo, yeah, this is, Iron Man was ahead of his time. We caught up now, bro. And like, that's it. Like, sorry, Tony. R.I.P. But Jarvis is, we got him now. He's ours. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that for sure. I actually think 5G is also going to have a huge effect on self-driving cars and driverless cars in general, autopilot and so on. Although I don't know if other companies are going to call it autopilot, because I don't even know if Tesla has kind of taken that phrase. But I think in terms of having accurate data coming in and out very quickly is going to be a big thing, especially in cities. And the reason why I also think it's going to be a big thing is because the whole thing about driving is information. That's why indicators are on cars, to give that information to the person behind you or in front of you that's approaching you that, hey, I'm turning. So now if you have cars giving rapid amounts of information back and forth, where you almost have a constant stream between cars. So if you have one driverless car or one self-driving car and another self-driving car next to each other, they could be communicating back and forth saying, hey, I'm going 40 miles per hour. Hey, I'm going 40 miles per hour. Hey, I'm slowing down. Hey, I'm slowing down. And that back and forth communication is going to prevent a lot of accidents and so on.
Definitely.
And it's a case of just having that information. Like, these systems will be able to transmit, and not just transmit, but decipher information so much faster and quicker. We're talking about magnitudes quicker than humans can. So I think 5G, once it is implemented into a way that these systems can start to take advantage of it, will ultimately start to make things a lot safer, especially when it comes to self-driving cars, whenever those things become a lot more mainstream.
The next thing I saw, the speeds are insane, but it's the low latency that really has me.
Yeah, that ping.
They're targeting the latency of like 1 millisecond. According to reports, the latency would be so good with robotics. You could have a surgeon in one part of the world controlling a robotic arm or something on the other side of the world, perform surgery on a patient.
Yeah,
That's how good it could be.
that's going to be big, because now we're going to be able to, I mean, obviously with the cost of creating the actual robot, yeah, that's going to be a big expense, but now we might have a case of specialized doctors don't have to leave. They can provide help to essentially anyone around the world at any time, as long as there's a robot on the other end that can articulate the functions that the doctor wants to do. So yeah, that's a big win.
5G, yeah.
You could have a doctor from America operating on someone in China or India or anywhere. It's
I don't know about China.
although honestly, China's big into 5G, man. China has already deployed over 100,000 base stations, and there are going to be, it's estimated that by 2020 there's going to be 150 million 5G mobile subscribers in China by 2020. So China's definitely, again, one of the biggest populations out of there, and they're also one of the most rapidly advancing populations. I know Korea also has 5G phones that started, coming out in October, and 4 million Koreans, I should say, have 5G phones already. Korea is also one of those countries that, is home of Samsung, so of course they're a bit more ahead of the curve.
Yeah, well, we're building the trains. We just need to get those train tracks.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So 5G is coming, whether you like it or not. You know, one thing that I do find interesting, I'm definitely waiting for the price of 5G phones specifically to drop, because every phone that has a 5G chipset in it right now is probably like 100 to 200 to maybe even $300 more than the 4G equivalent right now.
Yeah, that's true. And not just that, like, in order to use 5G, a lot of the providers are saying that you need to be on this plan. On this specific plan, you need to be on this one, which is like maybe like $20 to $30 more
Right.
than one of their basic or regular plans.
Yeah, I mean, but I definitely do think as things roll out more and as adoption becomes a lot more mainstream, it's definitely going to drop, and prices are definitely going to start to stabilize. And the reason why I say that too is just because I remember 4 or 5 years ago when I, first came back to America, that I had 3G with, I think, a limited cap of 4G. I think I had like 2 gigs of 4G. That only changed a couple years ago, and it only changed because 4G just became easy. It became cheaper. It became a lot simpler. So yeah, we'll definitely see how things work out. But for now, it's definitely much more of a niche. If you got the money to spend on it, then sure. But most people are not going to be forking over those extra few $100 on something that's an already expensive phone, especially like my Note 10 Plus. So that's $1,000 already, and Note 10 Plus 5G is like 1,200. So you got to be a very niche user to want that, especially considering you might not be able to even fully use it yet. And the thing that we haven't even started talking about yet either is there are some other advancements that need to happen, that need to take place in order for 5G to be very viable, and that's battery technology, because 5G will
Facts.
burn. If you thought like playing mobile games would burn through, play mobile games and use 5G, man, you're gonna need to carry a portable charger around all the time. I mean, I already do that, but your phone is basically gonna have to be always plugged in.
Yeah. I mean, it was like that when LTE came out as well. I remember the first time I got an LTE device and started using 4G, my battery just disappeared, yo. I'm like, yo, what is killing my battery? I was like, all right,
Yeah,
4G.
yeah. It's So I mean, but the thing is, battery tech is definitely coming. It's there. There are some really big leaps and bounds being made right now. I'm definitely excited to be, because I've always been a power user. That's why I've always been interested in the Note line, because the Note has always been bigger. It's always been better. It's always had a better battery and a bigger battery. So it's always given me that, like, extra bit of power that it's like, all right, I can make it through the day, even if I'm browsing or, again, watching YouTube videos all day. I consistently get 8 hours, no, not 8 hours, 6 hours of screen on time, like daily, on my Note 10. Most of the time I leave work. So I get up, the phone comes off the charger around 7:30. I get home at 5:30 after a day of fully using my phone, using the S Pen, doing whatever I have to do on it, watching YouTube videos, listening to YouTube. Another thing too is I have Galaxy Buds, so I literally have that in my ear like almost all day, because I'm always listening to stuff, except unless I'm in a meeting or something. And so that means the Bluetooth is always on. My Bluetooth stay on. My Bluetooth does not turn off. My Wi-Fi also stays on, except it when I leave home, it automatically turns off. When I get home, then it turns back on. But so that means that it's always still scanning for Wi-Fi signals. And again, I'm a heavy user with the brightness at, I'd say, like 30 to 50%. It's normally never over 50%. But most of the times I get home and I have like 45% battery left, which is like, before I could never even think. I like with my Note 5, I unfortunately, after like a year and a half, it was just a case of like, damn, I had to charge this thing all the damn time.
Yeah, batteries are definitely coming a long way. Like, sometimes I forget to charge my phone, just because charging your phone was just something you used to do like on a daily routine. It's like, oh, just plug the phone in
Yep.
to charge. And now it's like I'll reach home, I'll see like, I've been out all day and I have 60% left. Okay.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
because I'm not really a heavy user. I'm definitely one of the lighter users. I can't stand looking at my phone all day. It just ah it just
You
doesn't.
judging me, huh?
No, I'm not judging you. It's just I don't like social media that much to be looking at it all day. No, like Reddit and stuff all day.
That's
Uh,
understandable. I mean, like I said, I most of the times, for me, I'm very much a consumer of information through video and audio. And the reason why I like doing that is because most of the times I can do it while working. You know, I can do it while doing something else. So even if it's a case of like my phone screen is on and a video is playing, I don't necessarily have to be watching the video. But if I hear something interesting, I might glance over to look at my screen. But it's definitely not spent like browsing social media. I clock in less than like 10 minutes on Instagram a day or something like that. Then I get the occasional notifications on Twitter, but that's about it. Social media usage is very limited. Most of my usage comes from video and reading articles and checking stocks. So,
Stonks. Oh, look at you, man, with the stonks.
I gotta put in some work. I'm trying to make it out here. But yeah, 5G is coming, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be interesting. Obviously, there are gonna be a lot of technologies that revolve and use 5G that we haven't thought about or even heard about yet. So 5G might also be a big business for new businesses. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely. See, it'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah, and actually, last thing I'll say, I think assistants as they get better, such as Google Assistant. I'm not gonna say Bixby. I'm not gonna say
Oh
Siri
God.
either. Maybe Siri. I honestly think out of all the assistants right now, Google Assistant is probably on top, I'd say, in terms of most useful. I actually do use my Google Assistant. I tell it to remind me things, set alarms, stuff like that. Things that I just don't feel like lifting up my phone to do. Very simple things. And I think as 5G gets better, it's going to be a case of, I think these assistants might start to become a little bit more integrated into other things such as our wireless earbuds and so on. Like, again, I already have Google Assistant on my Galaxy Buds, but I think it might be a case of it's only going to get more integrated. It's really going to become a case of you do have a Jarvis on you.
I mean, where else can you get Alexa? Alexa is like everywhere, yo.
And yeah, Alexa's making it into cars, and I think that's also going to be a big thing, right? Alexa has that, I forgot what it's called, like Alexa Go or something like that. And you can literally just clip it onto your like dashboard. And I actually think Alexa in cars especially, that might be a big thing. And connected to 5G, man, streaming music, if you're like an Uber driver and you're whipping around in your Civic, you might have a screen in the back that Alexa is connected to, and it's like, hey, Alexa, throw up, I don't know, National Geographic on the screen in the back, in 4K.
Alexa, play Despacito.
Yo. Oh man. But yeah, 5G it's coming, and it's going to be interesting. So
You ever notice that we end like almost all of our episode on we'll see, or oh yeah, it'll definitely be interesting.
I mean, the thing is it will, right? I think we end it because we're speculators, we take everything that we see with a grain of salt. We don't know what's coming. We're not making any concrete predictions, but we do know that we're going to be talking about it on the podcast. That's going to be an interesting discussion.
Like if you ever get merch, it should just be like, oh, we'll see.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be interesting.
Hey, if you guys want that on a t-shirt, let us know. Hit us up on not on Instagram, on Twitter, gamingti2. Again, don't ask me why there's a 2 there. I swore I signed up for the account with just gamingti, but they gave me a 2. So yeah, follow us over there. Let us know your thoughts on the episodes, and also like we said last week, let us know where you're listening from. We were definitely interested to see where some of our listeners are. So tweet at me, tweet at us. And yeah, I think that's all we have to talk about for this episode. You got anything else?
Nah, I'm all talked out.
Nice. So we'll catch you guys next week. It's been fun. Thanks for listening.
All right, peace.
Peace.